There's not something going on in Virginia, in Newport News, Virginia. This is not about the 6-year-old who shot the teacher. This is another thing that's happening. A school threat that happened in elementary. The same place where that 6-year-old shot the teacher. If there's any more developments, we'll let you know. But this is not just ordinary thing that's happening on social media. This is a text message threat. And the latest threat at Rich Neck Elementary leaves parents feeling uneasy. And these parents tell News 3 they're angry, fearful, and concerned after learning a student allegedly sent threatening messages about blowing up the school. That's a threat, and you know that, right? And ever since Oxford, we've been focusing on a bunch of threats. From TikTok claiming National School Shooting Day, to even just people just going on Facebook, whatever, saying, I'm going to go do this and that to the school. But you're about to hear the parents who say they're feeling angry and uneasy, and they are fearful about learning a student that made a threat, and students actually say that they're tired, but they're too scared to go to school. Here's Kelsey Jones.
Angry, fearful, and concerned are how parents tell me they're feeling after they learned a 5th grader said in text messages, quote, they will pop some bullets and tell someone to shoot up the class.
What is wrong with this child?
It's a question that Vonda Pendleton, a Rich Neck grandmother, is asking tonight after learning about the threat.
It just sparks up a lot more anxiety all over again.
In an email to parents, the school's administrators say they got a tip about concerning messages shared in a group text between several 5th grade students. One of the students said they will, quote, pop some bullets and then told someone to shoot up the class.
You so much it's his class, but who knows where or not it's the school.
Leaving one of the students in the group text to tell their parents, who made his way to the school's administrator, who said she instantly told the parents of the student who made the threat.
I'm just gonna pray.
This threat coming just weeks after police say a 6-year-old shot his teacher in class at the same school, shutting the school down for 4 weeks. Karen Lynch, the new administrator at Rich Neck, did send her message to families saying that all protocols are being followed and this incident is being addressed accordingly. Meanwhile, the threat is not sitting well with non-Rich Neck students.
I'm pretty sure this is like some type of sick joke. I don't think he's actually gonna shoot up the school. But like, they just need to stop doing this. Like, it's not cool, it's not funny, it's not cute. Like, this is dangerous, this is real.
Strong feelings shared from 16-year-old Shar James, who also stands along his friend who's the same age. They believe hard consequences need to come from this.
He definitely got to get punished immediately. Let's get out of here.
School leaders say Newport News Police is now investigating this incident and a threat assessment is in progress. But when it comes to the student who sent these text messages, they have been excluded from school, meaning they cannot attend school until police and school leaders are done investigating this matter. In Newport News, I'm Kelsey Jones, News 3.
News 3 has been on top of the issues at Rich Neck since the first incident January 6th. To read more about this latest threat and the events leading up to tonight, head on over to WTKR.com for our comprehensive coverage.
It's just abomination here. What we're seeing here is a pattern of people just saying, I don't want to go to school. So they find ways. Faking sick, the parents will just find out either way. Make a bomb threat. I mean, you remember the episode of Everybody Hates Chris where, I'm not going to show you the clip because if I show the clip, I could get demonetized. YouTube could just kick my ass for just showing that clip. But in that episode, Greg was telling a story about how his cousin, or some friend, made a threat. So Chris calls in a bomb threat, and then fire drill happens. Everyone's out of the school, and did they send everybody home? Nope, send them back to class. But what is the cost of investigating a threat? That's a question we'll ask just a minute. But the thing I want to talk to you about here is this. Do you remember when we talked about fining parents for wasting police time? That's going to be on a Throwback Thursday. But we have to remember that the police do not have time for all these threats happening. They need to go out, look for a child, arresting people, doing searches. They don't need to be going into schools having bomb squad looking for bombs. I know you guys out there on social media think this is a joke, and parents along with the kids. This isn't a joke. We recently had a bunch of school shootings that had happened. From Columbine to Hobbs Elementary to Uvalde, Texas. Colorado to Texas. And nothing has been done about this. The more school shootings happen, the more threats are on the rise, and the more money we're wasting on police officers, police departments, so and so. A lot of money has been wasted on safety because these kids feel like it's a joke to them for making a terroristic threat. In the state of Texas, though, if you make a terroristic threat, in the state of Texas, if you make a threat, according to the Texas Penal Code, terrorist threats under Texas Penal Code Section 22.07, subsection A, paragraph 2, the law prohibits threats of family violence with the intent to place the victim in fear of intimate, serious, and bodily injury, which is also called making a terroristic threat. Even at school, that's under Chapter 22, Section 07. Look it up. Feel free to review that at codes.findlaw.com. That way you can understand. Come out next, more on dangerous roadways. If you remember, we looked at the Harbor Bridge. Now there's more to this from clips. Brian Hoffman and Pat Simon continue this Chris 6 Give Me a Break investigation. Then later, a bit later on, the price of shrinkflation and adults driving toy cars.
A Catholic community.
Sorry. Where did they come up with this? Stay with us. Saturday, we brought you Facing Danger. We were talking about the Harbor Bridge accidents on the Harbor Bridge that started back in 2012 to the latest one that happened, which was in 2022. We heard the one side from the victim and the person that was in jail for life because of that drunk driving accident. If you missed that, there will be a card above you saying Wrong Way Drivers, Part 1. We are continuing this because it's an eye-opening for you out there. If you're thinking about driving to Harbor, if you're thinking about visiting Corpus Christi, the number one thing you need to realize is the Harbor Bridge. Because really, if you're driving towards the Harbor Bridge, what you need to understand here is that drunk driving is bad. But thank God I don't go behind the wheel. If I went behind the wheel, I would never, ever forget it. At some point here, we all have to understand common sense. Common sense seems to me, if you're too drunk to drive, you shouldn't be driving. If you're going to go to a bar, you need to hire a designated driver. Your friends. I mean, you see advertisements everywhere on TV saying don't drink and drive. A lot of people do not listen. They just go, where's the radio? Oh. Who's the exchange numbers? I'm a 5-year-old tongue. Drunk driving is illegal in every state. If you drink and drive, you are arrested. And in the state of Texas, you're legally intoxicated in Texas when your blood alcohol concentration reaches 0.08%. if you're breaking the law as soon as drugs or alcohol are affecting your driving. But the law says, but there's laws in Texas. In the state of Texas, 0.08. If you're over 0.8, then you're drunk. I recommend that you would buy your own breathalyzer. Just look up breathalyzer. And you could probably find one on Amazon. Yeah, you can find. Yeah, you can find one on Amazon. An S80 breathalyzer. You want to get one of these? We'll put the link in. We'll also put the link in the description below, or on a card. I think that's around over $100. But you can get 1-pack, 2-pack. If you don't have these, if you need to have these things with you, along with your designated driver, give it to your designated driver. Tell him, do not lose that. It is very important to him. It's very important to you. If he loses that, then you're not going to know what drink and drive. But there is now some hope from Portland police about those light signals on the Harbor Bridge. Could they help? You're about to see some horrific pictures that I gotta warn you, it's just too graphic to see. Please ask your kids to leave the room. I'm very serious. You don't want your kids watching this. It's not going to be fun for you to see it. But this is really an educational opportunity for you people out there who want to visit Corpus for the very first time, led by the Harbor Bridge. Here's Brian Hoffman.
Whoa, 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 whoa! 122, I just hit my unit.
Encountering a wrong-way driver can be a terrifying experience, especially when you're driving between Portland and Corpus Christi. Surprisingly, it's a fairly common occurrence with deadly consequences.
I'm sure there's more than we know about. There's been plenty of wrong-way drivers that we get calls about. We rush down to the causeway and they never show up because they exited somewhere on North Beach.
A wrong-way driver, which almost all the time is an intoxicated driver, is an immediate threat, and we're going to take immediate action to take that vehicle off the roadway.
That immediate action can range from placing officers' cars in direct line of traffic to laying down spike strips. Or even using the squad cars as battering rams, like the video here.
It's the same risk that every citizen's having that has lost their life. We're looking at losing an officer every time this happens. If it's not an officer, it's very well going to be a citizen.
Well, whatever it takes, because I'm not going to have a drunk driver or a wrong-way driver hit a carload of innocent civilians and kill them like what's occurred on the Harbor Bridge, on the causeway. We're going to do everything we can to not allow that to occur in Portland.
Measures like these that the Portland PD incorporates are a polar opposite and possibly a direct result of Corpus Christi Police Department's no-chase policy, where they will not chase an intoxicated driver, nor will they pursue a wrong-way driver.
Other agencies don't take that quite of aggressive attitude. I've heard other departments say they're going to parallel them and try to get their attention.
Chief Corey tells me that the catalyst for most of these wrong-way drunk drivers are these. It's a multiple different off-ramps in tight proximity in Corpus Christi, right off the Harbor Bridge from Portland all the way here to Corpus Christi. And it's already pretty dark out here, as you can see with our stage lighting off. What makes things worse, though, this street lamp over the off-ramp isn't even on. Unfortunately, these off-ramps are outside the jurisdiction of Portland PD, meaning they haven't even made any request to TxDOT to make any changes. One of the more obvious ones is getting rid of these double yellow lines indicating a two-lane street right off of Tonkawa to Power. You could drive easily without even knowing it onto the freeway the wrong way.
I would hope that the city of Corpus Police Department would be dealing with TxDOT to get those things corrected.
and correcting them, they could. When we return, we're going to hear more. We're going to see more of these head-on crashes from those cameras, and figure out how you can deal with and learn more about drunk driving. Stay with us. Return now to our story. We've seen so far. What we've seen is police dash cam footage of drunk drivers ramming into police cars. But Corpus already has their policy saying they will not chase down drunk drivers. That's their policy. But according to those dash cam videos from Portland, it's a whole different story. What is TxDOT doing about this? Once again, here's Brian Hoffman.
Generally, the policies and procedures for police departments using squad cars to disable other vehicles, well, that's usually discouraged. But the need to save lives has forced Portland PD to change tactics.
So that's our unit that was hit up here.
The chief supports us, our city management supports us, the city council supports us, and most importantly, the citizens in Portland support us, and they expect us to go out and prevent these things from happening.
We would like to see an engineering solution to the wrong-way drivers. We would like to see TxDOT take action, appropriate action that's going to prevent these wrong-way drivers.
And the chief tells me that until changes are made, Portland PD will continue to use any and all tactics to stop wrong-way drivers, protect its citizens, and hopefully make it in time to prevent tragedy. But as Lieutenant Owen recalls, they are sometimes too late.
Went up to the car, it had already caught fire, and unfortunately it's one of those times where it kind of messes with you after the fact. In the moment, you're there to do a job, but we watched them burn. I mean, there was nothing we could do. Can't prevent them all, but we can prevent a lot of what's occurred over the last few years.
It's important to note that the Portland Police Department says that there are far more wrong-way drivers than we even know about, as the ones that they hear about but can't find don't actually make it into those statistics. What they do find, though, equates to nearly one wrong-way driver every month, usually at night.
Incredible. Thanks, Brian. Well, still ahead. Is there a way to avoid a wrong-way driver? Believe it or not, law enforcement says there are actually tips you can follow. Some life-saving advice next, as this special edition of Chris 6 News at 10 continues.
So is there really ways to do this? Pat and Brian are going to give us some tips, along with me as well. We'll tell you those tips when we come back. Stay with us. This investigation is going one way. We're going to talk about drunk driving, and we're talking about wrong-way drivers. You don't like what investigations are going to tune out of this video. But this is an important video this is important part 2 that you must see. If you watched part 1, you know exactly what we're talking about on the Harbor Bridge. But it's all about the wrong-way drunk drivers who just take the wrong way and ram into police cars. Now, what we heard from police chief in Portland and here in policies from Corpus Christi, the policy states that they will not use squad cars, but Portland does. As we've seen from those dash cam video, from the dash videos, we know how hard it can be. So really the question is, what all can be done to prevent this from happening again? Because remember, drunk driving always happens at night, not probably during the day. Because at night you're out there partying, going, woo, 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 party, 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 party. I'm drunk, man. I woke up drunk. I had 2 bottles of Patron. I had 3 bottles of tequila. And I'm doing all something like that. Or keep on drinking and be like, I'm in my marriage. I want to go. You bobbing at the picture here, but seriously, what else can be done? Here again are Pat Simon and Brian Hoffman.
To further prevent tragedy on the Harbor Bridge, we know that changes need to be made.
Until that happens, though, what can we do to limit the risk of death or injury over the Harbor Bridge? Well, other than trying to limit driving over the bridge to daytime hours only, other tips include limiting your speed, especially over the blind humps, to boost your reaction time. What lane you choose to drive in, that's also important.
Late at night, if you stay in the middle lane or even the outside lane of the highway, if there is a wrong way driver, you have less of a chance of getting hit head on, because these people are thinking they're driving in the slow lane, right? But in reality, it's going to be your inside, or people call it your fast lane.
If you happen to see a dangerous or wrong way driver, officials say you should pull over immediately and call up 911, as unless an officer actually sees a wrong way driver on the road, they only know about them due to tips from you, the public.
5 people dead in 7 years. So what has TxDOT done? When we reported on the most recent fatal crash in November, TxDOT told us they were installing a wrong-way driver detection system on the Harbor Bridge. It's right near the off-ramp to Concrete Street Amphitheater that we told you about a moment ago. The system will have a flashing red light to alert the wrong-way driver that they're traveling in the wrong direction. It'll also take a photo of the driver and send it to police to alert them of the situation. In November, TxDOT told us it was waiting for a part to come in to complete the system. They're hoping to have it fully operational by May, they told us. But when we asked TxDOT for an update on that system at the beginning of this month, we were met with some resistance. Their communications specialist, Ricky Daly, actually asked what prompted this story and who else we were interviewing and contacting for the story. He added that he would check and see what he could find out. He also asked for our deadline. Later that day, he asked what the story was about and whether the wrong-way system was part of a larger story or a standalone update. In fact, we sent a list of questions Friday with a deadline of today, Wednesday at noon. This afternoon, Daly with TxDOT did contact us after our deadline, though, and he said that he would be responding, just not likely today. And then there's this. Last night, we noticed crews added lights to the wrong-way side of one of the exit ramps to the Harbor Bridge. In the meantime, the new system may be reassuring news for some, but not everyone thinks this new lighting system is going to work.
I don't see how that's going to have any effect when you got a drunk driver that's a blood alcohol concentration of 0.18. He was an immediate threat, and you have a patrol car running alongside him with their lights on. It's going to have zero impact on getting this vehicle stopped. That's just not going to work.
It bothers me when there's ways to fix this kind of problems, and I hear what TxDOT wants to do to fix the problem, and that's not a fix.
He says it's not a fix, but it's TxDOT's plan for now, a plan many have been pushing for quite some time.
That's right, one man knows just how tough it can be to get action from a state agency.
So you have to get both of them involved and both of them to agree, which is hard being large bureaucracies.
Coming up next, this man here would blame TxDOT. But is he right? Now remember, the part that TxDOT said is going to be available in May. And at that time, the wrong-way drivers could be sent over to the police. You'll hear him when we come back. Stay with us. Before we continue on with Facing Danger, I want to bring you up to date on some stories that we're following. Let's start off with the 6-year-old who shot the teacher. Remember, the family said in a statement that it will not happen again. But there's probably more updates to this. So let's find out if there's any more updates to this story. I must have clicked on the wrong button. Well, just 3 days ago, in Virginia, another 6-year-old boy brought a gun in Virginia. But this time, it was in Little Creek, Virginia. The city of Norfolk on Thursday afternoon where staff gave him a handgun. From BBC. No one was injured, but one mother says the boy threatened to shoot her daughter in class. Last month, another 6-year-old shot and wounded the teacher. That's the same crap from Virginia, but from a different school. For crying out loud, what has this country come to when it comes to kids and guns? That's the very latest from Virginia. Oxford. As for Oxford, there's probably nothing yet. In Uvalde, Texas, probably nothing yet. We know that the people have been fired. Probably just yesterday, ABC 13 investigates Uvalde family's claims of betrayal by a Houston man. I would play it for you, but we're not gonna have that kind of time. But we're probably gonna play that for you sometime this week. Now, as for bullying in our schools, we don't know what's going to be happening with Adriana Kirsch. We know the board's going to be probably doing a plan, but we'll keep you posted what's going on. But there's probably more bullying in our schools, like just 2 days ago, the Hayes District Attorney is investigating a student accused of bullying from the Austin American-Statesman. The district attorney was investigating a video in Dalstor Middle School. He posted it online on a special education students in a meaningful way from the Hayes County Sheriff's Office. It's on February 9th. It was a TikTok account, and now the district attorney is investigating this. So I'm really glad that this is happening. Bullying is just unacceptable. And coming up tomorrow, and coming up on Break Tuesday, the first Daily Motion video, we're talking about bullying words can kill. This will also be posted on the Stop Bullying Speak Up group on Facebook. You want to join that? We'll put the link in the description below. But then once you get done subscribing to the Daily Motion channel, come back to me. Coming up next, this man says that he wants to create a stop sign to prevent all those wrong-way drivers. He has demanded, he wanted to have that stop sign. But could it work? He'll speak to Brian Hoffman. Stay with us. We're back dealing with wrong-way drunk drivers. We've heard from the officers. We heard from TxDOT. We've heard from the victims. We heard the prisoner. You're about to hear from one man who wanted to create a red tape and a stop sign. Because TxDOT's not doing a damn thing. Take a look. Here's Brian Hoffman.
TxDOT, it's their exit ramp, but then it turns into a city road and city intersection. And apparently when any of those changes happen, in that case, you have to get both of them involved and both of them to agree, which is hard being large bureaucracies.
Yeah, and Loeb said that from his office across the street, he used to hear multiple crashes a year. And while none of them were fatal, several of them resulted in victims going to the hospital. Almost all of them, he says, could have been avoided with the proper signage that is now in place. Although it took him consistently calling city officials, TxDOT, and even us here at Chris 6 after each and every accident to finally get proper signage installed.
The engineers can't predict everything that everyone will do, but when the same thing keeps happening over and over again, you kind of feel a need to try to advocate and get it solved. And it was pretty obvious, it wasn't, there were different types of accidents. It was the same accident over and over and over again for years, and it wasn't changing.
You can imagine the frustration.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Well, it's the positive change within our community that has been the driving force and the focus and the preservation of life. Those are all reasons for us doing this exact report, right, Pat?
But we're not stopping here, Brian. In fact, we will show tonight's report to state and local officials and then ask the important question. What happens now? So be sure to stay with us for that report in the future. In the meantime, you can see some of the reports we've already gathered on this topic over the last 3 months. It's on our website. We've created a special section on the website called Facing Danger.
So what happens now? What in the hell do we do when it comes to wrong-way drivers? You take a driving test. If you take a driving test, you have a driver's license. Any idiot can get a driver's license. But then there's people who are like, where did you get your driver's license? A fucking cereal box? For crying out loud. If you got... If you... The local cereal box for my driver's license for my cereal box. No me caro. I can't lay up to George Lopez. That's the same crap you would tell a teacher. Where did you get your teacher degree? A cereal box? But what do we do now? Here's one main thing, which is common sense. Education. That is the key. Education. We have to educate kids. We got to educate teens. We have to educate adults. Kids, teens, adults. That's the whole thing. We have to teach people that that's not cool to drink and drive. You think driving the wrong way is cool? You think driving drunk is cool? You think being drunk on the road is cool? You think smoking dope while driving is cool? It ain't cool. And if it was cool to you, I would have been doing this while doing this comedy skit. While driving slow, and woo! Why are you driving so slow in the fast lane? Just having a pleasant time. I didn't know you could get a speeding ticket for driving slow. Officer Douche. That's Officer Douche. Something funny. No, sir, Officer Douche. Why are you driving so slow in the fast lane? Oh, just having a pleasant time on a summer's eve. Officer Douche. Please step out of the vehicle. Education is key. That's the common sense. And I'm really glad. Once I upload part 2, I'm going to start telling Brian Hoppin I started sharing this with the viewers because it's really important for them. Not important to the viewers of the network, but it's also important to the viewers of my show because really, it's really an eye-opener for all of everyone. So I recommend you share this with your kids, with your teens, your adults. Every driving school should share this report. Every time, every school, every driving school. Everybody should watch this report. You want to watch the full story? We'll have that for you on the annotation above. Coming up next, Pat Simon, the final thought, and why are these adults driving kid cars? Stay with us. Before we move on to our next story, here's a little tribute to the drivers from Pat Simon. Pat?
As we wrap up our special report, Facing Danger, we want to pay tribute to the lives lost on the Harbor Bridge to wrong-way drivers. May their lives spark a change that could save others. Good night.
And that's just very important to understand. Like I said before, we have to educate people, that way this does not happen again. And if it did happen again, then we lose common sense. Okay. Now a story that is just funny to look at. Why are us adults driving driving little kid cars. Why are these people doing this? Take a look.
These people rode toy cars to unusual places. In 2015, Tara Monroe got a lot of attention because of how she got around her college campus in a Barbie car.
Can I get a picture of you? That's dope.
Alright, send me that.
It was her temporary mode of transportation because of a DUI arrest. Her dad offered her a bike, but Tara refused.
I had a perfectly good bike. She lived close enough to campus, so I thought that was the right action to take.
I'm kind of a diva, I'll admit it. I don't like the sweat. I don't like to work out.
Then she remembered her childhood Barbie car and bought one online.
I got out and I told her I wanted to test drive it. She was like, "Where's the little girl?" And I was like, I am the little girl. There's 3 gears. There's reverse, there's turtle, and then there's like rabbit, because it goes from like going so slow to going so fast.
Tara was criticized by some who thought she was making light of a serious drunk driving offense. But the Dean's List student said it wasn't true.
I'm not at all trying to make a joke out of that, and really me getting the Jeep had nothing to do with that. I just didn't want to walk the class. My roommate actually just bought one too. It's more just like a fun thing to do with your friends. I got a break? No, you don't get a break. Your foot is a break.
It was just a regular day in 2021 for this woman loading her groceries into a toy Jeep. Joe Crum said her Jeep belonged to her little sister.
We kind of just souped up that little Jeep for my little sister so the battery wouldn't like run out right away so she could just cruise around in it. I decided to drive it around and we made a joke about me going up to the gas station. It turned out to not really be a joke and I actually did it. I pulled up to the gas station, parked that little car and went inside and got some snacks and came right back out and I didn't even know I was being recorded. So you can imagine my surprise when I see myself on Facebook like 2 hours later and I'm just trying to save gas.
In 2016, Reagan had a ball riding around in her new car toy until she got pulled over by police.
I think for being too cute.
This photo, posted by Philadelphia police, got thousands of views.
I just think it's crazy how many people have seen it and how many likes and shares it's had. And it's just crazy. It doesn't feel real, actually.
The 8-month-old was also driving with an open container, but claimed the water bottle wasn't hers. The officer bought her story and she was let go on a warning. A similar incident occurred in 2016 when Harper Bennett was caught driving recklessly in her Mini Cooper.
She told me that she was late for a nail appointment and that she was in a hurry.
Kentucky Sergeant Brian Jaron pulled over the 2-year-old not only for speeding, but playing Taylor Swift music too loud, underage drinking, and picking her nose.
I wrote her a quick warning because she was very nice and polite, but when I handed her my warning notice, she basically crumpled it up and threw it on the ground and drove off. This is her first offense. Her driver record was fairly clean, so that's why I decided to go ahead and issue that warning notice so we don't mess up her impeccable driving record thus far.
He did reassure us Harper wouldn't be charged for drinking and driving. The only open container found in the car was a half-empty Capri Sun.
Oh man, only New York.
Double the fun sometimes means double the trouble.
License and registration.
These twins were caught driving their Range Rover along a busy sidewalk in New York City. So the police pulled them over because they looked just too darn cute.
We're stopping traffic over here on St. Nicholas.
Cops gave them a paper ticket, which one twin paid off right away with a high five.
You five? Yeah.
If only that's how it worked for adults. This is from 2017. Who ever heard of driving while asleep at the wheel at this age? For this young driver, apparently it's okay. The driver was pooped and so was his little passenger. In 2015, look who was driving this car.
Is he driving you?
Not the boy, it's the dog. Daisy used her paw to steer the electric toy car and nail those sharp turns. And she did a fine job. In 2022, gas prices were a drag. So this kid found a clever way to get around.
They see me rolling.
Mom Amy didn't know the video of her son was getting attention until a local news station stopped by.
Yeah, well, her words were, "Is this where the famous boy lives?" And I had no clue what she was talking about. I'm not even sure where the video was posted, honestly. First, I hadn't even heard about it. Eric posted it somewhere. And they saw it, and they went down to Get and Go and were asking questions, and then they literally drove around the neighborhood till they saw it parked in our driveway. Actually, the second day that he's done it. He did it the day before, too. That was the first time.
Although the store is close by, and her son is an excellent driver, he did get in a little trouble for leaving home. He's mad. Even so, Amy was a good sport and knows the video brought people lots of joy.
Yeah, it was crazy that your child just takes off by itself. Ends up a sensation.
For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindle.
It's just funny to look at when you're seeing people. When you're seeing people freaking driving toy cars in the road, whether it's adults or kids, they're just cute. But the key here is, let's leave those toy cars in the house. Do not imagine driving a freaking toy car in the middle of a busy intersection. And it's like, move it, I gotta get to work, move it. We'll be right back. Daily Motion Tuesday. Come on with Daily Motion Tuesday for the show. Bullying. Words can kill. You'll meet some kids at a school who had horrific stories to tell. We'll take you to a play. And you'll meet the best friend of a girl who committed suicide who denied ever sending a text message. But the officer says that she did. So who's really telling the truth? You also meet a little girl who lied about her age when she joined Facebook. It's all bullying. Words can kill. That's on Daily Motion Tuesday. Then coming up on Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, the first half, my explosive rant to the New Jersey School District for not doing a damn thing. Right after that meeting, I only had a lot to say. That for you Wednesday afternoon or morning. But not one of the two. That's getting break for this Monday going to Tuesday. We'll see you for Daily Motion Tuesday. If I don't see you Daily Motion Tuesday, we'll see you again for GMB Wednesday. For all of us here at YouTube, hope you had a great day. Have a good night.